Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to Law Vlog, episode 9. Slightly different format to today's vlog. Firstly, I'm running out of content, and secondly, the FE1 Blackhall entrance examinations are coming up in a couple of weeks, and I've managed to rope in Jennifer Sullivan of lawhero.ie to have a quick chat and offer some helpful advice and tips on any students or budding solicitors who are sitting exams for the first time. So we're very lucky to have Jennifer from lawhero.ie with us here today. Jennifer, how are you?
Great, fantastic. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you. So we did a podcast over a year ago now, was it? Start of lockdown one?
Yeah.
I'll actually put a link to it here for anyone who wants to watch it, because there was actually some really good information on it you gave back then, and I'm hoping maybe we can do the same again, because September, October is FE1 time.
Exactly, and also milk rounds as well. So
okay.
You've the added pressure of applying for traineeships and doing your exams.
Okay, for those who don't know, what are the FE1s?
So the FE1 is the first exam of 3 to enter the solicitor's profession. So the FE stands for first examination, and 1 means part 1. So you follow that up with FE2 and FE3, and then you're qualified as a solicitor. So it's the first step in qualification.
And is that why they're so important?
Is that why it's so important? Yeah, because basically you cannot start your traineeship without having completed the 8 FE1 exams. So yeah, they are very important, and if your ultimate goal is to qualify as a solicitor, you should start them sooner rather than later.
And when are they on?
So they're on from the 5th to the 15th of October. So this is the winter sitting, it's called, and then there's always another sitting in March, the second week of March.
Okay.
So they're on twice a year.
How much are they to do?
They're €105 a subject, but to repeat them, it's €115.
Oh.
So yeah, it's not too much of a difference, but it has been that price for 10 years, which is good. It shouldn't increase.
When I was doing them back in the dark ages, there was a rule: you obviously have to sit 8 and pass 8 to get into Blackhall as the FE1s, and then but you need, on your first sitting, you needed to sit 4 and pass 3. Is that rule still there?
No. So in January 2020, there was a decision made to amend the legislation and make the FE1s more accessible to people, because actually, from an economic perspective, that rule was very, it was a very harsh rule on people, especially around the money. So now the Law Society have come out and said that you can sit any amount of exams at any time. You can even do 1 at a time if you want. And then once you have 8 FE1s, you have 7 years to get your traineeship. So they've not only increased the lasting power of the FE1s from 5 to 7 years, but they've also allowed you to take 1 exam at a time, which is massive for people who have anxiety around exams. They're time poor, they're working full-time jobs, they can't afford it. And there's also another interesting change that came in last January, which was undergraduate students in law who have completed first year can begin to take FE1s, which is marvellous.
Wow. So they can get fast-tracked.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Because I remember, not only was it harsh financially, the old rule of sitting 4 and passing 3, a lot of people pass 2 all the time. Do you know what I mean? That's really frustrating for people, to go through all the work and having to resit the exams you passed again.
Yeah, and people do fail them. People come to me all the time with rechecks, and I have noticed it has, especially when a new examiner comes in, they like to put a stamp on things. So it's like a reactive response. They'll mark very hard in their first few years, and then it'll tailor off. So we've had that, for example, in property. There was a change in examiner, and people did notice the failure rate go up slightly.
Okay.
So you just have to be cognizant. I mean, they're not so easy that you would just pass them without doing the work, but they're not exceptionally difficult either. They're a benchmark exam.
And it's a pass fail, isn't it? Is the mark still 50%?
50% for the pass, yeah. Yeah.
So if anyone's sitting the exams in the next couple of weeks, is there any tips? Do we have 3 top tips maybe we could give them?
Yeah, so my 3 the top tips, if there was a gun to my head, would be your your timing. Now, if you're doing the online exam, you get half an hour extra, which is fantastic. And I would advise anyone who has that extra 30 minutes, do not write or type with that time. Sit back and plan your answer. And that's my second tip, is strategy. So in the FE1, everything is about how you plan your answer. It's a professional exam, so you have to be very practical. You have to imagine that your client is in front of you, and if you give them irrelevant or extraneous information, that is not only going to come against you, but it's negligent. It's professional negligence if you give a client information that's not relevant to their legal scenario, as you well know. And then the third one is less is more. So don't throw in the kitchen sink, tailor your answer accordingly, keep it very relevant, very succinct. A lot of people don't like the blanket being pulled off them, in that they like to cover themselves with information. And I always say to anyone who comes to me, having a lot of information is not a marker of a good solicitor. A good solicitor is able to give succinct information that's relevant to the client's problem. And that will ultimately assist them, whether they go to court or not. And that's another thing I would say as well to anyone who's sitting this exam. If it is relevant in the question, always advise the client as to the outcome of their case. Would it do well in court? Because sometimes they just don't have a case, and you need to state that. It seems obvious, but a lot of people miss that.
3 great tips. If anyone wanted to contact you directly, how to get in touch?
info@lawhero.eu is my email. My website is lawhero.eu, and I'm on Instagram as well. That's how people contact me.
Thank you so much. Maybe we loop back in a few weeks and get a review of how the exams are going.
Yeah, hopefully everyone passed.
So that's the end of vlog number 9. Thank you for watching. I hope you got some value from that call with Jennifer. Sure, if you're a trainee solicitor or budding training solicitor, there's a lot of information there you find useful. I'm very interested to hear that you no longer have to finish college to start the Blackhall, so that could potentially save someone 1 to 2 years time to get themselves started on their traineeship. So look, thank you very much for watching. Next Monday is the first date of the court calendar of the last session of the year, so I will hopefully have some litigation news next week. I'm just about to head into the office here. It's very early Wednesday morning. Just got a coffee from 20 Coffee Shop in Anglesey Street. So look, have a great week. Thank you for watching.